Hey guys, Epidemic 2020 here. Today I want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Charlottesville, what just happened in Charlottesville, and then why the president's words are becoming so controversial. Alright, so in Charlottesville there's this rally held by white supremacists and white nationalists and Nazis who are protesting the taking down of a Robert E. Lee statue. Now counter-protests met them in the streets, it devolves into a brawl, and eventually the government shuts the whole thing down. Now, after the thing shut down, we have one of the white supremacists get in his car and run over 19 people, killing one of them. Eventually the president does actually come up and denounce white supremacists and Nazis. Took a lot longer than most people wanted, but eventually that does happen. And now this recent press release that's happened has generated a lot of controversy. And I want to explore why it is that people are upset.
And you have, you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent. And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent.
Alright, so there is a nugget of truth in there. Antifa is violent. Now there's also a lie snuck in there. The counter-protesters actually did in fact have a permit. Now the problem with this is not actually condemning Antifa. Antifa is this violent blend of communism and anarchy. They totally suck. The problem is something I'm going to call the 3 Ds, right? Downplaying, defending, and drawing false equivalents. So he downplays the ISIS-style terrorist attack, which is carried out by a white supremacist. He defends the folks that are standing alongside the Nazis as if they're not all bad. And he draws the false equivalence between the Nazis who are looking for violence and the people who oblige them. So let's look at some of Trump's words here.
I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee.
So basically he's saying that there's some good people standing alongside the folks who are waving Nazi flags. That is a defense of white supremacy. Good people don't stand alongside you when you wave a Nazi flag or give a Nazi chant or advocate white supremacy. Trump's making it sound like that there's only a few bad apples here, but look at this clip and tell me if you can find the good folks.
Blood and soil, 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 and immigration, one people, one nation, and immigration, one people, one nation, and immigration.
Alright, so quick recap of the 3 main points here. One, he's downplaying the terrorist-style incident involving the white supremacists running over 19 people and killing one. And if you doubt that's actually happening, just ask yourself how Trump would respond if he found out it was a Muslim person who ran over 19 people and killed one. Obviously, there'd be a huge difference in the way he would react here. The second claim is that he is defending the white supremacists by acting like it's just a couple of bad apples. That alt-right incident was alt-right individuals coming from all over the country. White supremacists, neo-Nazis, the whole nine, from Ohio and Pennsylvania and Canada and all over the place. This was not an organization of just people from the right opposing a statue. The people that you find there are wearing matching uniforms and carrying matching riot shields, and they already have matching torches. This is a very intentional, organized group consisting of white supremacists and neo-Nazis. They're cheers, they're Heil Hitlers. It's unmistakable here. These are not a group of a mixed bag of good and bad people. This is very specifically the fringe lunatics petitioning for their cause. And the last problem is that he's drawing a false equivalence between the Nazis, the ones who are looking to start violence, looking to incite violence with their hateful speech and bringing their clubs and torches and shields to the mix, and the people who oblige and actually act violently towards the Nazis. There's no comparison between the Nazis and the people who hate Nazis. I don't even think the term peaceful Nazi makes any sense. Anyway, back to the videos. Here we go.
McCain said that the alt-right is behind these attacks, and he linked that same group to those who perpetrated the attack in Charlottesville.
Well, I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm sure Senator McCain must know what he's talking about. But when you say the alt-right, define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying,
define it for me. Come on, let's go. Define
Senator
it for me.
McCain defined them as the same group.
Okay, what about the alt-left that came charging at him? Excuse me. What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt?
Alright, so respectfully, Donald Trump does know what the alt-right is. The alt-right is a term which is coined by Richard Spencer, who's a white supremacist, and it's a term which is popularized by this website called Breitbart. Now, Breitbart is the self-proclaimed platform for the alt-right, and the reason I know Trump knows this is because Breitbart is run by a man named Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon is the chief strategist and senior counsel for Donald Trump. Now, the purpose of the alt-right having this rally, their self-proclaimed purpose, was to unite the right. That was their chant, their motto they held behind, Unite the Right rally. Now, what they're supposed to do is, what they're trying to do, is make the alt-right, which is composed of KKK and neo-Nazis and a bunch of other crazy, lunatic, racist folks, not seem like crazy, lunatic, racist folks, right? They don't want to be seen as the alt-right being a position only for fringe nut jobs. Now, when Donald Trump comes out and claims like he doesn't know what the alt-right is, and claims that not all of them are bad people, he is helping them do exactly that. That is exactly what the alt-right wanted him to say, and that's why people are upset about it.
This week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Now, this is actually a pretty easy to answer question. George Washington's one of the founding fathers who just so happened to hold slaves, and Robert E. Lee is a traitor who fought to preserve the institution of slavery. These people aren't even in the same moral universe. So it's easy to see how you can oppose one and not oppose the other. But I actually don't even want to go there. I don't care if you want to defend the statues, because this rally was most definitely not about statues, right? Statues were an excuse for people to rally around and get behind this issue of uniting the right. Nazis do not care about Robert E. Lee, and they surely don't care about George Washington. This issue is never about the statues. So if you want to defend the statues, that's fine with me. The problem here is white supremacists and Nazis using the statue as an excuse to try and legitimize their cause and to proclaim their rhetoric in the streets.
There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
All right, now Trump doubles down on that last little nugget of truth there. Antifa is violent. Now, defenders of Trump are undoubtedly going to focus on that point and that point alone. They're going to avoid those 3Ds that we've been talking about and instead act as if Trump is only getting flack for saying that Antifa was violent. In fact, we're going to see someone defending Trump in exactly this way.
What did the president do, you're wondering, to cause all this grief and to cause people to call for his impeachment? Well, when he denounced the horrible and deadly violence in Charlottesville, Virginia over the weekend, he said that both sides were violent and that both sides were causing problems. Well, how dare you, Mr. President?
Now, that guy undoubtedly sees himself as one of those not-so-bad guys who happen to be standing alongside the alt-right. But let's take a closer look at what some of the other things this individual has to say.
I'm going to have to translate you the Ebonics that he's speaking, because if you haven't been studying subhumans, it's going to be hard to understand what it is that he's saying. So let's start with this first clip.
And that guy has 1 million subscribers. As always, test everything, hold on to the good.